He puts this on every Monday.
Hello to all our listeners out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 47 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, recorded on October 17th, 2016. Gavin's been... I almost got through the intro, despite the feedback loop I was getting that I managed to shut down.
We started on time, so of course something had to go wrong.
I'm like, I can totally cancel that feedback loop, get back on track, and do that. No, I can't, because I can't read my own show notes. Joining me this evening, we have Gavin. Gavin's a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, and the host of the Greater Toronto Area chapter of the Tactical Beer Owners Club. Hey, Gavin, how you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself, Andrew?
Okay, thanks. We also have Richard. Richard's a pro-firearms policy advocate working within the Conservative Party. Hey, Richard, thanks for coming on again.
Thank you for having me again.
We also have Marty. Hey, Marty, how's it going?
Hey, doing all right tonight?
Good. I'm glad. I've decided since you won't write an intro, I'm just not going to read one.
Oh, that makes things a lot easier.
As always, I'm your host, Andrew. I'm a libertarian, a competitive shooter, gear review at everydaytechtool.com, and a firearms instructor.
We'd love your feedback. Well, let me scroll down to my show notes here so I can read this properly. Yes, we'd love to hear your feedback. Once you do, I will. And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. And if you use the iTunes, if you leave a 5-star review on there, that would be awesome. And if you do, just put a little comment in there of something you would like me to drink for an episode, and that just might happen.
Boy, we have feedback later.
Yeah, we certainly do. I guess the edited version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes. And holy crap, the podcast is on Instagram. You can check us out if you're on that at Canadian Patriot Podcast.
All right, and if you're one of the people that like to punish themselves with Facebook, you can also visit the podcast at facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and give us a like. We'll let you know when new episodes air and when you're live on YouTube, usually Monday night at 9.
Hey, Marty, do you have an Instagram account?
I do not have an Instagram account.
Are you going to get an Instagram account so you can follow the show now?
That's probably not going to happen.
All right, just dash my hopes and dreams. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I'm done for the night then. I'm too sad to talk about anything else now.
Yeah, we're just going to drink and probably shitpost for a while. So,
so business as usual.
Business as usual. On my screen from left to right, like we do every week, we're going to start with Richard. Richard, what are you drinking this evening?
Water.
All right.
Boring.
Gavin, what are you drinking?
I have a horn full of Neo-Citron Nighttime. So things could get weird, guys. Things could get weird.
Marty,
I think we're fully strange already, actually.
Yeah.
I got nothing fancy this week. I have Coors Banquet.
There's nothing wrong with Coors Banquet. It is the best beer that Coors makes.
It is.
I am scraping the bottle of the barrel myself, Marty. I've got the James ready tonight.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, for the price, you can't do better. You also can't do worse.
Yeah. Well, you also get that extra 0.5 kick in there, you know?
Yeah, no, like as cheap beers go.
You're getting your money's worth. That's what you're doing. Now, do you have the traditional James Ready 5.5 or the James Ready Lager?
The 5.5 because I don't care for lager beer.
Yeah, I tried it. It was actually really bad.
I haven't tried theirs because I'm like, I don't like lager to begin with. I drink ales and beers that are like ale, so I don't know what a good.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it.
I generally enjoy a good lager, but I probably will stay away because I like good lagers, not James Ready. But it has the trick.
Good lager, you let me know.
All right, I will.
All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to review everybody on the panel right now is at the Carbine Operator course that we did with Ragnarok Tactical on the weekend. So we'll start with that. What do you guys think?
Great course.
Yeah, the weather was awesome. It was great to meet some of the guys and new people and all that.
Yeah, we had some listeners there. That was cool.
Yeah, that was a strange experience being recognized by your voice.
Well, if you were part of social media more, Marty, you'd probably get recognized by your face too. But
it's okay. We put a picture of Marty up on the Facebook, and just so nobody can ever recognize him by sight, we blacked it out.
But no, I think it was a good course. I mean, I think there was a good level, of shooters, like a good mix of brand new, like literally just bought their gun to people that have been shooting for long periods of time. And I think everybody was better at the end of the day than they were at the beginning of the day. So
There was even one person there who didn't even know we could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a great course.
Yeah, I think
I showed up, I had basically no gear. I showed up with an AR and a military surplus mag pouches, not wanting for gear. Like, I was able to participate and do everything throughout the course. As I'm standing next to Gavin, who's like fully kitted up with every tactical accessory you can imagine. But so that was good. Like, it was approachable. You didn't need to have anything in. Like, you bring whatever you had, and you can run it.
Yeah, I mean, the cool gear makes you look better.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's what Gavin is going for, is looking tactical.
Yeah.
But
that's how I get to be operator as fuck.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that were there in just jeans and a T-shirt with a couple of mag pouches, and they were doing just fine.
Yeah.
But Gavin, I don't know if you overheard the couple of guys, but like, one of the two guys talking, they're like, it's like, man, next time I'm coming dressed up like that. I got to get all that shit. He's like pointing to you. he's like that looks fucking awesome.
Nice. And those are the
One
guys.
of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
Yeah. And that's
that
how
was
we get them
probably the
ready.
same guy that was like, I didn't even know we could do this in Canada.
Yeah.
Yep. It was.
And I can wear cool guy gear. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started him down a terrible, terrible path. The good news is he'll never have a drug or alcohol problem because he'll have no money.
Yeah. It's true.
I like that. That was good. I used a different caterer this time. Were you guys okay with the food? I mean, Gavin's had the food course before.
Yeah, it was good. I mean,
there was tons of food.
Yeah.
You could have
I
doubled.
think I'm having leftover pulled pork for like lunches every day this week at work, and I'm really okay with that.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Good, I'm glad, because I want to give a special shout out to our friend Trevor at Slamfire Radio, because I feed my students good food.
Yeah. Which more courses should do.
Yeah, I think one of the guys that was there shooting with us, one of the other students mentioned that he's like, oh, I figured we were getting like pizza. It's like, yeah, no, sorry. I hate to disappoint you. You're not getting pizza.
Even that, though, compared to a lot of courses and stuff like that, would be a step up.
Where's your beer?
Because usually you're on your own. Go fend for yourself for an hour and then be back on time.
Well, and I don't like people leaving and then coming back, because if somebody gets lost or late
Yeah.
And then somebody's still got to stay to maintain firearms because we can't just leave them unsupervised. And
Yeah, no,
it's
I
easier
think
for everybody to eat together and socialize and have a little break together.
Well, I mean, I think it helps build the camaraderie, which I think is important, that us gunnies all stick together and do that. I mean, even if we, shoot different types of things, and I think that's our biggest problem with a lot of the firearms community is like you get the hardcore old school fuddy hunters that, oh, well, I don't care about ARs or handguns. I don't use those. And us sitting around having a pulled pork sandwich and, just chatting, I think helps build. I mean, obviously we're all at a carbine class and most of the guys are running ARs, so we're all similar mentality, but I still think it's important that we do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's you spend the morning kind of getting everybody all squared away, and so lunch is when everybody finally got a chance to really talk to each other and kind of shoot the shit and get to know each other, and that kind of helps ease the tension a bit for the afternoon's work when you're actually kind of shooting more in front of people and people are watching you run, and that it's a little bit less intimidating going against like shooting in front of guys you've shot the shit with versus just a group of unknowns.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, the morning is definitely slow on these courses when it's like one of these like, okay, it's gun time 101. Let's all practice how to put the magazine in the firearm.
Yeah.
Have everybody be able to do that, so when you start getting malfunctions when we're shooting steel on the clock under pressure, explain to everybody how to clear a double feed, which actually happened for real, and the guy muscled through it like he was supposed to.
Yeah.
So
you just got to watch it with those Tavors and double feeds, apparently.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our one of our comrades there had a Tavor with if you put your finger in it and try and close the bolt, it doesn't work really well.
No, your finger gets in the way a little bit.
A little bit. So, learning experience. You won't do that twice, and that's why I said when we were talking about clearing jams, I like to use a tool because in real life I work on computers and I need to be able to type.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be sticking his fingers in the operating bits again.
No, probably not.
Battle wound, guys. Battle wound.
Yeah.
Chick stick scars.
Yep.
Chick dig stitches.
Yeah. Staples aren't quite as sexy, but
as long as you look cool while you're doing it.
yeah. Hence the cool guy gear.
Well, you got to have the cool guy gear, obviously. And I mean, I'm being facetious, of course. I mean, Marty got away with like jeans, a t-shirt, and like shingle for his AR mags. So
yeah. It was a Condor shingle, so it was still tactical as fuck.
It was very tactical. What did you have for gear, Richard? You had some surplus gear, didn't you? Like an old waist belt?
Yeah, I had a belt with a strap on it, and it was M14 mags. I find those to be the best to get AR mags in and out. You can put 2 in each. Fidel shirt on.
Yeah,
but other than that,
nothing wrong with that. You don't have to
Canadian
have
infidel shirt.
Yes, Canadian infidel with that.
Sure.
Yeah, they were just M14 pouches. It's what I use for the CQB.
No, and that's what you're gonna compete, right?
I want to practice at it.
So let's we'll transition into the news. The first one's gonna go to Gavin.
Yes. Our favorite MP is at it again. What is it? Mariam Monsef, I guess the MP for Peterborough, Liberal MP, also a cabinet minister, the minister of, what was it? Democratic Systems, something like that?
Yes. She's the one that wants to change how we get to vote.
Yeah, with by using Twitter only and not a referendum. Apparently, I mean, some controversy has come out about her background and where she is or isn't from, and as a result of this, she could be stripped of her citizenship without a hearing. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm all for her having her citizenship revoked.
Well, yeah, okay. So we're generally of the agreement that she's not good people. She doesn't eat babies that we know of, but
she's
we also don't really care for her as an MP, and she's not good people in general.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say aside from that, let's look at sort of what happened. I mean, like it's not. If I understand, it wasn't her, but it was her parents lied on their immigration forms.
Now, Marty, you can't say that they lied. They just misrepresented themselves as being from a different country.
Yeah, they put down that she was really from Iraq when she's really from Iran, which really, I mean, how does that make any difference at all?
Because one of them we won't give citizenship to.
We won't? Well, even if they claim refugee status?
Well, that's the part that I don't know what the rule is on the refugee status. My understanding right now is it's a paperwork problem because they didn't claim the right thing at the time, so now they can't retroactively go back and like change their mind about it.
Yeah.
But then we also have a problem with she was very small when their family immigrated into Canada. So do we punish children for their lying parents?
Actually, we do, because the law is that they get sent back if their parents did lie.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to kind of separate that from her politics. I think that's sort of that doesn't really matter in as much as what's actually the facts of what had happened here. And I agree. Otherwise we get into that, and I hate to use the term, but the anchor baby situation, where we can't immediately just grant citizenship because there is a child involved.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I mean, my biggest problem with the whole thing is it was the liberals that campaigned on this whole sort of thing about our ability to strip away these citizenships and this and that, and that was part of their thing, is they were very against this in the election. But after coming into power and being in power for a year now, they've actually been very strictly enforcing this law until one of their own gets caught. And that's my biggest problem, is the hypocrisy behind it. Like, I mean, you say that you're against it, but then you don't do anything to get rid of this law until, one of your MPs, and one that helps balance the cabinet because it's 2015.
And she's a woman and a visible minority.
Yeah. Gets caught with it and is threatened to now have her citizenship revoked and basically be booted out of the country without a hearing. I mean, that's what it took to actually get them to live up to one of their promises. Like, this is ridiculous.
And I mean, that's I think a good thing that they're actually being forced to do something about this, because they've been using this law that they bashed the conservatives over passing this law, and it was a bad law in the first place. But instead of actually repealing the law or doing anything about it, they've been using it to their advantage until it's negatively affected them.
Yeah. I mean, which is typical for any government, to be hypocritical and use things to their advantage. But, I mean, it's just, this was a major, as far as I'm concerned, a major issue that they were campaigning on. It wasn't something minor that they're like, oh, we're going to do this. This was like a top 10 of the things they were going to fix. And they haven't even attempted to fix it yet.
Well, I would like to think that if this happened to the conservatives, the minimum that would happen is that she would be pushed out of cabinet until it was solved.
Yeah.
All right, you guys carry on. I will return momentarily.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. What else do you guys think about this? I mean,
no, I think Richard's comment there of why she's not taking a leave of absence until this is resolved, or has been forced to step down until this is resolved. We're talking about a person who may or may not be a valid citizen.
Yeah.
As a member of our government.
Yeah, which basically is like the only requirement we have is that you're a Canadian citizen. Like, we're not like the U.S. where you need to, be like natural born and this and that and everything else, and
that's only for president.
Yeah, but they've got a lot more stipulations on that. Ours is basically you need to be, of legal age and a citizen, and that's it. And she may not be one of those things.
Yeah, it's a weird situation that they're in right now, and it's frustrating to see them immediately jump to change laws because it affects them. And it's like, if it's a bad law, then it's a bad law, and they should have, they should be proactively trying to get rid of those things. But to only make changes when it affects you, to me, it just kind of shows a lack of morals. Like, either you have a moral stance against this or you don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
If your moral stance is against it, it should be against it for everybody.
Yeah.
Another way you could look at this is if they have to spend time in the legislature or in the House dealing with this issue, is less time they will be able to bring in other issues such as firearms changes.
Yeah, or anything that's more important than dealing with her nonsense. Like,
yep.
Yeah, and the other thing that drives me nuts about this whole thing is like, okay, it's one thing, like, it's debatable whether she knew the truth or not. We won't even really get into that because no one will ever know. But, like, how did nobody fact check this and check this when she became an MP and then when she became a cabinet minister? Like,
I'm not surprised by that, though. I'm sure that they're not fact-checking any of these people.
You think that they would at least like? I mean, if obviously it wasn't that difficult for who was it? The Star, I think it was, that found this.
Yeah, but the people in the writing knew about it when she was running for election. Apparently knew about it for years.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, because they were campaigning as, oh, well, she's the first, MP from Iraq and this and that, and like, and using that as, a positive thing for her, and like she should be proud of this.
Yeah, but she's not from Iraq, though, right?
Well, I know, but
or do I have it backwards?
Yeah, she was born in Iran, and they said she came from Afghanistan.
All right, well. Yeah, she's born in Iran, but weren't they saying she was from Iraq, though?
No, Afghanistan.
She was from Afghanistan? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, either way, like, they were using that as, like, a way to promote her, though, right? Like, so you think that they would have, like, somebody would have gone and said, like, hey, if we're going to use this fact to promote this person, maybe we should double-check it, right? Now,
to be fair, people cross the border between Afghanistan and Iran, especially up in the northern part, all the time. And it's like, It's not even a different, there's no border up there.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, it really doesn't matter where you're from. Like, I don't care. But I mean, a law is a law is a law, even if it's a stupid law. And if you're only enforcing it for or complaining about it for your people, from your benefit, that's hypocritical and stupid.
Yeah, I also have an issue with sort of federal criminals voting on new laws.
Yeah. That's kind of important too, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when it comes up in the House, because she'll get to vote for a change in the law that will affect her personally. Conflict of interest.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge no-no. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she shouldn't even be allowed to speak on it.
No.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, but I fully expect that the federal liberals will parade her out as a victim of this terrible conservative law, just like the little potato's been doing about everything. Because if you listen to his speeches the last 3 or 4 weeks, essentially every time he speaks, he says the previous government, whatever his point is.
Hey, they're still blaming Harris for Ontario.
Well, and they should be, so. He wasn't a good premier. I mean, he wasn't.
No, but somewhat of a necessary correction, I'd say.
But
absolutely.
Better than win.
Well, I'm not saying that the current one's any better. I'm just saying that he wasn't an especially good premier.
Yeah.
But the following premiers have been significantly worse.
Yeah.
He was a step up from Ray.
Yeah, but just think of all those extra
Ray days.
Yeah.
Those vacation days that we got. Those were nice in school.
Yeah, sort of. Except for my whole education suffering thing. Although it's government school, so how much can it really suffer?
Whatever. You missed out an extra 5 days of school.
Yeah, but actually, those of us who were working at the time lost those days and the pay.
I really don't like that Ontario has such a history of terrible leadership.
How else do you think we end up in the mess that we're in today?
Yeah.
Because Toronto keeps voting as a bloc and they have more ridings than the rest of us?
Yeah. But
blame the GTA for the problems.
I don't know. I think maybe we should just...
Plus Ottawa.
Toronto should just not be allowed to vote. I mean, if they voted in somebody like Rob Ford, who's a crackhead, they shouldn't be allowed to vote at all.
Yeah, but okay. Did Toronto Court vote in Rob Ford? It seemed like it was a lot of the suburbs that voted him in.
Yeah, pretty much. But Toronto as a whole, like the surrounding area voted him in, and then the downtown core votes for the completely opposite way, and it's just like no. None of you are allowed to vote anymore. I think that would solve a lot of problems.
I'm okay with that. Do you guys have anything else for our friend MP Monsef?
No, I'm sure she'll do something stupid again in another 2 weeks. She seems to be about that pace.
All All right, let's go into our federal government deciding to give Iraq another $2 million. Martin, did you want to talk about this one? I know you were triggered by it the other day.
Well, that was a couple weeks ago. I don't even remember this one anymore. I'm surprised it was still on in the show notes here. But
well, I wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to speak about it because you seemed very rustled when I saw you.
We needed to give you time to calm down, though, and
yeah, you give me too much time.
See a
I mean,
therapist.
it is what I mean, what can you say about it? It's $200 million that we don't have. We're borrowing money to give to them. Like when we're running a deficit, we're borrowing money to then give to this country. Like, how does that make sense to anybody? Like, I don't even know. Like, how do you want me to expand on it? It's just a dumb idea.
Well, weren't you telling me this isn't their first amount of money that we've given them? We're up to like $1 billion now with this.
Oh no, not $1 billion. But yes, this is not the first block of money.
It looks like they're going to be $35 billion in the hole by the end of this fiscal year. $35 billion.
Not going to Iraq, but that's just our total deficit.
Yeah,
some
that's
of it's
total
going to
deficit
Iraq.
for this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But the amount of money he's sending out of the country is probably closer to $2 billion.
Yeah, I know we sent a chunk to India and a few other places, and I mean, like, if that's an investment that we're going to see a return on, it's one thing, but I don't think we are. And
right, it's the concept of borrowing money to give to somebody else, to give to another country. Just I don't understand how that can make sense to anybody.
Yeah, we're borrowing money plus interest.
They've got the IMF to do that, and they've got the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund to do this kind of stuff. That's what it's for.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It seems like it'd be like honestly, and I mean, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna get to it later with the carbon stuff. But it seems like our prime minister, he's making all of his decisions based on how he thinks it will make him look on the international stage, not whether or not it's right for Canadians.
He's going for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. Like he's just trying to make himself look good at the UN. Like that's what it seems like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it'd be one thing if we, like I said, if we had a surplus of money and we could lend it to them and we were getting something out of it eventually. Like if by building their infrastructure allowed for better trade and we would benefit by getting better rates dealing with them or tax breaks or something, like something out of this.
Yeah, negotiate something in the deal, or
rather than just here's, a crap load of money that we don't have that we're never going to see again.
Yeah, here's money that we're going to siphon out of the Canadian economy for years to come while we pay interest on it.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we're a global community, right?
Yeah, so we're all going to fail together.
That's right.
When the rest of the world starts paying my taxes, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And the Rebel exposed that China is setting up their own bank similar to the IMF and asked Canada to put $250 million into it.
Yeah. China's trying to. Well, I think they are one of the top 5 currencies now.
Yep.
Yep.
I hope we told them to GTFO.
No, I don't think so. I think we're giving them money.
Yeah, I said hope. I mean, it's an unlikely one, but I mean, maybe at least the Chinese will send Trudeau some hair care products or something, so at least we get something out of it, right?
Yeah, what do you send to the little potato who has everything?
He could always use some more pomade or, I don't know,
sour cream,
glitter.
He doesn't get the cheap Chinese knockoff pomade. He gets the good stuff.
No, that's got to be untrue. I saw a video where he was flying in a Cessna that somehow didn't crash, and the reporter asked him what hair product he used, and he said whatever his wife had in the shower. So,
yeah, she looks like she shops on a budget.
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah, the secret is out, folks. The secret for good hair, like the Prime Minister, use whatever your wife uses in the shower. But hope that she has good taste, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I
a
wonder if that
huge
shower
budget.
or that shampoo comes with a song.
All right. What's next?
Let's do the Philpot report. This is the segment every week where we bring something that our government has managed to waste money on, named in honor of our wonderful our health minister, Jane Philpot. So when it comes to us from the National Post, cost of passengers' food and drinks for Trudeau visits flights to the Wow, I'm editing that. Also, this work call is terrible. Costs of passengers' food and drinks on Trudeau flights to the Philippines, Turkey, $1,300 per person. And naturally, they're saying this is a totally justifiable expense, and this is not that unreasonable, being that when the Conservatives were in power, they ended up being that the average cost was $42 a person for a meal when they were flying on the government airline. And the Liberals are only charging $54 a meal. So it's not like it's a significant increase.
Yeah, but so this is just the cost of food and drinks, not the cost of anything else. That's a lot.
Yeah, this is the cost of food and drinks for 2 trips that we have sent them on whatever the D&D plane is we fly these people around on. I think it's a Bombardier, like an Airbus A320.
Like, what the hell are they? So if the meal costs $55 per person, what is the rest of that in drinks? What are they drinking? Cristal?
Well, they're saying that this is more than just the cost of the food. It also has to do with taxes and administrative fees at the airports and the cost of labor to serve them. And
so the $1,300 is the total cost per food per person for the trip, and that works out to $54 per meal. I think that's how it breaks down.
That's how that breaks down. Marty's got it.
All right.
And so with the Conservatives, it was $41 per meal on average. So instead of $1,300, we probably would have been talking like, I don't know, $1,000 or $1,100 or something like that.
Which still seems high.
It is high because we're giving them, like, this is taxpayer sponsor eating.
Yeah.
There's no incentive for them to not spend less money on this.
I don't know. I mean, personally, it is like, what is it, like a 20% increase or whatever. To me, this article, I'd have to say, it seems like nitpicking. Like, this is the least of our concerns at this point.
I know. I just couldn't find anything else they wasted money on this week.
Like, I'm just saying, like,
it was the
like,
only thing
I travel
that
for work. I travel for work. $50 a meal is. I mean, you're not going to. It kind of averages out somewhere around there, probably. I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with Marty. It's not crazy. I think it's a little bit. I think it's on the high side.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I'd
say that.
Travel.
If they're talking 3 meals a day at 55, that's what, $165 a day?
Yeah.
That seems a little high. I mean,
it's a little on the high side, but I'm saying, like, it's not. I would say what the Conservatives were, 40-something bucks a day, $120 for your
high.
day. But reason, like, yeah, definitely they're higher than what they should be.
yeah,
I think this is the least of our concerns.
Oh, for sure, but I mean, it all adds up.
Yep.
I mean, if we can stop wastage here, then we could stop it anywhere.
Well, that's the point that I wanted to make with this article. Aside from the fact that it was the only thing that I could find in the news this week that the government wasted money on that made the news. Outside of
it shows.
And,
it shows. I mean, the mentality of the lack of caring about how they spend the taxpayer dollars.
Well, when the Conservatives were in power, this is the kind of stuff they were bitching about and going, "Oh, look what they're doing, the wastage and this and that," and then they get into power. And it's not like they're getting a decrease. You're seeing an increase.
But when the Conservatives...
there's not a decrease in spending anywhere.
No.
When the Conservatives did this, and they were in power, people like Mike Duffy get to pay back like $60,000. But when the conservatives do it and they spend $1 million+ on moving expenses, it's just not a big deal. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. When you think about it, the amount of time that the previous government was in power, and like that was the biggest scandal, and it was like $60,000.
Actually, it was a lot less than that.
Like,
it was like $1,500 was the actual amount, but the rest of it was paid back by that other guy, Nigel Wright. So it was really nothing. It was a nothing issue. That's what the court said.
Yeah.
Okay, Philpott.
I guess we'll get into the meat of this.
Yeah, let's go into the main topic. The main topic on the show tonight is the carbon tax.
Well, everybody's favorite thing.
Yeah, I've struggled with this one. I've been thinking about this one for this podcast for several days now, and just like how to even approach this, because it's such a big topic. It's such a mess, and it's such a sort of a legalese issue.
The unintended consequences, they do not understand, but it's so easy to understand. I'll give you a real example. For every calorie of food we eat, there is at least 7 calories of oil energy to get it to your mouth. So there it tells you right there that food prices are going to go up alone, let alone everything else that is required to be moved and created, shipped, and whatever, wrapped up in plastic. All of that stuff is all going to be affected by this. Everything is going to go up in price for an attempt to change the weather, or so they say.
Yeah. I mean, to try an attempt at reducing carbon emissions. And to me, we have enough examples of this being attempted. We have, even within our own country, we have BC who's been doing this since 2008, I believe. And nowhere has this ever been a success in terms of reducing carbon emissions.
Nope.
So this is a known...
But it's the left. It's the lefty green wet dream to tax people for hurting the environment because they can extract working people's money to have themselves be paid to do more studies on the mating habits of gay squirrels or whatever they're into, right?
So, and that's so that's where I'm kind of going on this is if we know that this does not help with carbon emissions at all. We've seen other countries that have implemented it and then scrapped it because it had no effect on carbon emissions. In our own country, we have other provinces that have attempted this and have not reduced carbon emissions. So if your goal is to reduce carbon emissions, this isn't what you do. So if this is what you've done, you're doing it for a different reason. Mm-hmm. And that reason is purely taxes.
Yep.
It is.
Well, I think the people that don't know enough and don't read enough about this, it makes them feel good about giving money to getting rid of carbon because it's so evil, and they've made so much of it just going about their daily life that, oh, well, I feel a little bit better about that now because I've paid an extra 2% on everything to help them fight the evils of carbon.
And here's, okay, if I'm taking the side of the progressive person and I want to be for this tax, it's a regressive tax. The lower income you are, the higher proportion of your income this tax affects. So, to me, the greeny progressive person, this violates either one side or the other. You either are for... they're either for the green aspect of it, but they're typically going to be progressive and wanting progressive taxing. And that's not what this is. It's a regressive tax. Even if you look at BC, they call it tax neutral because they make tax breaks of the equivalent amount that they tax comes in from this carbon tax. But when you look at how that has broken down, it's like 60% of the tax that they pulled in from the carbon tax, they've given to corporations and they've given to businesses and things like that. 17% of that gets back to the actual people. to the actual reducing income tax. And so like it's purely a regressive tax that affects the lower and middle class Canadians.
And what they'll do to help offset the poor people is what the Wynne government is trying to do in Ontario with electricity prices, is they'll siphon money from some people to help the poor people pay their electricity bills, and even that won't work.
Yeah. And the concept that I'm supposed to be happy that you've taken my money and then are going to give me some back, like how anybody is supposed to look at that as a benefit to them, or happy of the government for giving them a tax credit of my own money back.
Yeah, just don't take it.
I want to look at that. I want to look at that part, Marty, because I found an article in the Globe and Mail. Don't worry, they echo. For anyone other than climate deniers, significantly reducing greenhouse gas emissions is a necessity. Unless you think we shouldn't bother cutting carbon emissions, the most economically logical way of doing so is by putting a price on carbon. That's economics 101. You know, the course the conservatives usually accuse folks on the left of having skipped. It's a solution involving free markets and price signals rather than top-down meddling in the individual decisions of millions of people and firms.
Yeah, so that's a common leftist argument where they try to sell this as a free market and open market thing.
How is that free market if the government is dictating the price of carbon by the ton, and we know that the schedule is going to be $10 a ton now and $50 a ton in 2020?
Yeah, that's not free market.
That is not free market. That is not how that economics works, guys.
Also, I mean, we don't know all the details yet of what the federal plan is. I mean, I haven't seen an actual bill drafted for this yet. And same with Ontario's plan. We don't know all of the details yet. But looking at what some of the other
details are, they're going to hurt the people that are actually paying their taxes in this country.
Agreed. Andrew, I'm just going on the free market aspect of it. So, look, when you look at some of the other countries, what they've implemented it, you also have the things called like carbon credits, where if they do a reduction within their business, then they get carbon credits and things like that. And so there's all kinds of, similar to tax codes, there's all kinds of loopholes where the larger corporations can use to avoid this and to avoid paying these carbon taxes.
Yeah, Andrew, can I get you to read that first part, just maybe the one or two sentences again?
For anyone other than climate change deniers, significantly reducing greenhouse gas.
Can we stop right there? This whole mantra of climate change deniers needs to be put to rest. Nobody denies the climate changes at all. Climate change is something that we observe. It's a fact. But human-caused climate change is a theory. You can't deny a theory. You can either agree or disagree with it. So this whole bullshit of climate change deniers is just that, because the climate has been changing for 4.5 billion years. And there is nothing happening today that is beyond normal variation.
No, I agree with that. We've seen that because we have documented evidence of changes in global temperature over recorded human history.
Yep.
That's not the problem. I think is that we have all of these. What were you calling them, Marty? The progressive greenies.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that title for them, the progressive greenies, because it's something they can feel good about. They're doing something. They're making a difference.
It almost sounds like the blue meanies.
That's a totally different thing.
Well, yeah, but the progressive greenies are coming. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I deal with a bunch of stuff like this, environmental, this and that with work. And like, if it's run anything like some of the other cash grabs, I mean, it doesn't do any benefit. It just sucks money. Like, I deal with, there's an oil tax in Ontario that you have to pay. So anytime you go and get your oil changed in your car or buy a bottle of oil or an oil filter, there's a tax associated with that. And it is up to the manufacturer or first importer to pay that tax and then pass it on through the chain until the end user gets it and has to pay it. The problem with this, though, is that there's this government body that's been set up. that determines what everybody in the industry's market share is, and then tells you what you owe based on market share. The problem,
Seems like a scam.
yeah, it used to be they would just charge you a quarter for every filter and then X amount for every liter of oil. But they've changed that now. And now I don't know how much I owe into this government sanctioned body until the end of the year. But the problem is I'm not allowed to overcharge for it. So if I tack on a quarter, because that's what we did when we knew it was a quarter, and at the end of the year they tell me that I owe 20 cents per filter instead of 25, I get in trouble and somehow have to give this money back or give it to the government, I guess, in some shape or form.
I'm glad that we have a regulatory agency that is there strictly to make more government problems that only the government can solve.
Yeah.
The broken window hypothesis.
I mean, and they do the same thing with tires. They do the same thing with any sort of chemical that you could sell, like solvents and this and that. I mean, there's a billion of these agencies in every industry that suck tax dollars for nothing. And it's like, none of this money goes to actually setting up any new oil recycling facilities. Like, when was the last time you saw one of these places open up? Never. So,
oh, exactly.
It's not like they're not doing anything with the money. At least if they were doing something with the money and helping get rid of, oil that's sitting there, okay, there's some benefit to it. But there's not. They're just collecting the fees because it's, like somebody's third cousin that needed a job or whatever. So they're like, here, you can run the oil racket in Ontario. Or, oh, you can be the carbon credit guy. It's just garbage.
Richard, what's the broken window theory? Or
the premise is that if the government wants to create jobs, is they'll hire people to go around, break windows, and then they'll hire more people to go around and fix them all. That creates jobs.
Yeah, okay.
That seems entirely applicable to this situation.
Well, as long as you raise their minimum wage high enough, then it should work out.
Well, we'll just tax them into prosperity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it'll work out because eventually then the poor will become rich and then they'll get taxed more, and then the people that were rich and are now poor will then start getting more money and become rich again. And we'll just have this cycle where we go back and forth, right?
So it's cyclical, like climate change.
Yeah.
So really, the root of the problem is still climate change.
In this country, yes.
And I'm sure that the flat earthers have something to do with it as well. They're always in the background.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't heard any flat Earth climate change theories. I'll have to do some investigating on that.
Yeah, I'm curious where they fit in the spectrum. If they're pretty sure that the Earth is flat, how do they feel about climate change? And what is causing it? Probably aliens.
Or one particular alien.
Yeah. Would his name be Xenu?
Or Allah, or whatever you want.
No.
What did you guys think of this this idea that Brad Wall's got, that he's going to take the federal government to court over this if they try and push climate change on Saskatchewan?
Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the provinces and everything should sort of start sticking up for themselves and not letting the federal government push them around so much.
See, the thing is, his energy issues are provincial; they're not federal. So he's actually got something to stand on.
Well, and that's Trudeau's already said that with his platform, that it's going to be up to the provinces to enforce how much they want to charge for this.
But he's setting federal minimums.
What he called it. Yes, they're setting federal minimums, and then the provinces can do beyond that if they so desire. And
if the province decides not to do it, he will enforce it himself. So it is a federal.
Right, but he may not win that in a Supreme Court appeal if it goes all the way, because that's a violation of our Constitution.
Yeah.
This
I'd
is
really
just
like
the
to
National
see.
Energy Program. This is just another version of the National Energy Program. His father failed to do that too because of that reason.
Do you want to enlighten all of our younger listeners about that might not have been around for Trudeau Senior?
He means
It
the
was
rest
a
of
long
us on
time
the
ago. I'll
podcast.
try to remember it. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up online to get the exact details. But basically, what he wanted to do, what the Trudeau Senior wanted to do, was nationalize all the oil production in the country, so that he could control how it gets disseminated to the country. And of course, it would just rob everything from the provinces. But under our constitution, energy is entirely in the preview of the provinces. And I don't remember exactly what happened in the end, but it failed.
Well, maybe we should be so lucky with this. I don't know if you guys actually listened to any of the interviews that Brad Wall was on a bunch of stuff, I think with CTV and maybe with Global. And I actually would really like to see this guy run for prime minister in the next election cycle. He's well-spoken and seems to have a grasp of the economy. Also, I enjoyed that
he'll never win, though.
No, you don't think he's got a chance?
Well, he has a grasp of the economy. Why would we want anyone like that to be doing anything in government?
Yeah.
Isn't that why we voted in Harper? Isn't that because he was an economist?
Yes. Apparently, that was 1980 to 1985 when they brought that in. I'm looking it up.
I think we have a lot of public sector unions. We have other politicians. We have too many people that their lives depend on not having an economist running the country.
That's fair. Yes, those are good points.
I mean, personally, yes. I think we should have more people like that in government.
Yeah.
But, it's just never going to happen. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, the Conservatives got in and they killed it.
Oh, so if we can get this put off for another couple of years, we might have a chance of beating it again. All right. Have we got anything else with the climate change? Because mostly this just makes me mad. The thing with Brad Wall kind of excites me because he's like willing to take the government to task on this. The pricing model is stupid. And by stupid, I mean the pricing model is not obtainable or reasonable, because if we're talking about the way that they were talking about pricing carbon with the whole $50 per ton emission thing works out to, like, just on gasoline, it's another 11 cents per liter tariff.
And that doesn't even come close. Even the projections we have today doesn't come close to meeting the targets that have been set by the Paris Agreement.
No, this thing, Canada is a net carbon sink because of our vast forest reserves.
Yeah.
That's never brought into the equation.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you don't take that in, the amount of carbon that Canada as a nation produces is nothing compared to so many other countries.
No, we can't compete with those other countries because. Yeah, but okay. So even if we go to a carbon neutral and their pricing scheme works and they tax everybody into not producing any carbon, on the global scale, what's that going to do? We're gonna knock out 3% of carbon emissions.
Probably not.
What are they going to do about countries like Mexico and China?
Nothing.
Yeah.
China's going to laugh at us.
So let me ask you guys this: How do we maintain free trade and put in these type of agreements?
You won't.
I don't think that it's possible. It's not feasible.
Yeah. All I know is somebody better figure out a way to tax the volcanoes that are putting all kinds of carbon out into the air.
Well, the human input on this stuff is minuscule to begin with, which is part of the joke, I think.
Yeah.
And then Canada has such a small role in the total carbon output from
like
what
that.
Humans do. Like the entire.
I mean, based on what Gavin was saying there's that volcano in Europe that erupted. Was it 8-10 years ago or something like that?
The one in Iceland or whatever, Greenland?
Yeah. And it was like that one eruption output more carbon into the atmosphere than humans have since the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that how they search for like groups of whales in the ocean too? They look for their carbon output or whatever, like, because like them breathing,
I don't know.
them breathing outputs a ton of carbon into the air more so than a bunch of other stuff, you know, like.
Yeah, but that's recycled because they're also breathing it in and
Oh yeah, but like
into plants. They're talking about the oil carbon is the issue because that stuff has been stored for 250 million years, and it's now being released in the atmosphere. But what they don't tell you is that 250 million years ago, CO2 was about 25 times higher than it was today, and the planet didn't cook. And if you look at CO2 levels in the atmosphere since then, it's actually been dropping, and starting to accelerate in that drop after about 55 million years ago, to a point where we almost got to plant suffocation levels during the ice ages at around 190. You get down below 190, and we all starve to death.
Yes. Yeah, that's there's a guy who was one of the founders of Greenpeace, and he's been kind of an advocate about a similar type of thing. That we were basically, as the core of the Earth has been cooling, which I mean that is even amongst the global warming and climate change people, that's agreed upon. The core of the Earth's been cooling. We've had a lot less volcanic activity. And when you looked at kind of historically, the volcanic activity, which was what was replenishing the carbon back out in the atmosphere, that was then being absorbed by the plant life. And so as that volcanic activity has been decreased, us burning fossil fuels has actually kind of replenished the carbon back into the atmosphere. And we were actually getting to the point where we were starting to see, I mean, not to the point of plant starvation, but plant sort of slowed growth. When you look at sort of like historical, when you look at archaeological evidence and things like that from way back, plants were growing bigger, they were growing faster, they were much larger. I mean, when you look at, way back when, compared to what we have now, and it's based on because of how low the carbon dioxide levels were, the plants can't grow as fast and as robust as they used to be able to.
The largest plant-eating animals in the world were the sauropods, and they were able to do so and get so large because there was enough carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to accelerate plant growth so that they could feed off of it. Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why when you look at our sort of commercial greenhouses, they're pumping carbon dioxide into those greenhouses because that's what makes
parts per million.
Yeah. Because they need the extra, in order to accelerate the plant growth.
And they're going to get hit with the carbon tax because they use natural gas to generate that CO2.
Yep. That's amazing, actually.
The food we eat. And they're taxing the rain that falls from the sky, too.
Well, if they let you collect.
So, Richard, the other day you had a good comment, which I'll bring up here. Was
go ahead.
You were saying that back in the day, you guys used to joke that the next thing liberals were going to tax was the air.
Yep.
And like here we are 30, 40 years later.
They figured out a way. Because you have to understand, liberals think that all money belongs to government, that you don't own any of your money. You're just borrowing it temporarily while they own it all. So they get to dictate what you can and cannot have and what you're allowed to circulate in the economy. That's their entire premise, that none of the money is yours. It's all government. That's why when they say when they want to bring in a tax cut, it costs the government money to have a tax cut. No, it doesn't. It doesn't cost them a dime because it wasn't theirs to begin with.
Yeah.
They don't look at it that way, though. I mean, that's
no, of course they don't.
That's not liberals in particular. That's any sort of leftist, statist, big government group.
No, I'd say that's government in general. I'd say the right wing looks at it as it costing them money as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that's one side or the other of the political spectrum. That's an issue with statism.
That wasn't the viewpoint inside the Conservative Party. I can tell you that for sure.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, you have more insight into that than we do.
All I know is that taxation is theft.
Yes.
Yep.
And you've
Everyone
got
knows about the. You guys know about what the Laffer curve is? You ever heard about the Laffer curve? No.
Is that the reduction of the reduction of taxes increases the tax revenue?
Yeah, they're getting to a point where when you start increasing taxes, you get more revenue, but it reaches a peak where you actually tax. The more you tax, the less revenue you get.
Yeah.
That's called the Laffer curve, and that peak can shift depending upon what the economy's GDP output is.
That's interesting. I'd not heard of that before.
Yeah.
I mean, it stands to reason, but I didn't realize
LAFFER.
it.
Yeah.
He was an economist back in the 30s, I believe.
You'll have to
That
read
makes sense. I just didn't realize that anybody had actually modeled it. All right.
I think
Do we
it's
have
been more
anything
than
else?
modeled. I think it's been proven out in certain cases as well. Yeah.
Yep. Bob Ray proved that because they just raised taxes through the roof, and they had tremendous less revenue because of it.
Yeah.
Decreased taxes, and he got more revenue out of it.
Well, it's almost like when you reduce the tax burden on people, they're more willing to spend money and do other things to promote economic growth. And then
That's right.
it's like you have a revenue stream from that. It's the damnedest thing. It's almost like Keynesian economics doesn't actually work.
So, and just to accentuate that a little bit, what do you think people invest with? If I'm going to invest in a company, or if I'm going to buy stock, or that kind of thing, I'm using savings. You have to have savings before you can sort of spawn investment. If you tax to a point where people can't save money, then nobody's investing.
That's the law.
Oh, exactly. But I mean, we see that already with other parts of the government. Look at what the Ontario Win Liberals were trying to do earlier in the year with the Ontario Retirement Program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, we already have a government federally sponsored pension program. We already have RRSPs. You already have employer-sponsored pension programs. But Canadians can't manage their own money, so the government's going to create a tax to make a pension for them in the province of Ontario.
And then decrease the TFSA.
Yep.
So it stopped you from being able to save your money and invest it the way you wanted to.
That's because the government knows better, guys. Seriously. How long?
Yeah.
Yeah, how many times are we going to have this episode? The government knows what's best. Come on.
Yeah. They clearly know how to invest my money better than me.
Yeah. You must be a independent business owner with a tax shelter, or else you wouldn't have any independent money to begin with.
Yeah, it pays to be part of the 1%, Marty, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well,
can't hurt. Can't make it any worse. And I mean, really, why not take advantage of whatever tax loopholes are available?
Trump did, and he gets blasted for it.
What, you don't pay taxes that you don't owe?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like I try and keep the profit of my labor for myself so that I can spend it on things that I want, and I don't just give it all to the government, even if that's what they want me to do because I live in Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah, but by virtue of the fact that we're going to buy things, we're going to be paying some of that tax anyway. So, just let me have my money. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I have no problem spending my money.
Well, that's my thing. Is I don't understand why the people that are writing these laws feel that they're entitled to the profit of my labor. Like, what makes them think that the money that I have worked for is somehow okay for them to take? Like, how is that not actually theft?
It is legalized theft.
It is theft. There's no way around it. And again, like, what investment is what spawns growth. There's no economic growth without investment, and investment is only occurs when there's excess.
Yeah. Yeah, if I need to eat, I'm not going to be investing it in anything. I'm going to be eating.
Right.
No, exactly. That's
Yeah.
all right. Let's move on from the climate change the carbon tax.
I just want to say one thing before we close out on it. Like, Trudeau made that comment about like people that are climate change deniers and this and that using scare tactics, and that's like a bad thing. How many times have the Liberal used scare tactics for things like guns and everything else? Like,
it's totally different when they do it. They have the little potato has your best interests at heart. That's why he's giving all your money. Correction. That's why he's borrowing all of your children's money to give it to another country.
yeah.
You know, it was. I ran a tangent, but the other day, actually, I thought of something that I hadn't thought of in a long time, and it was going back in high school, and I had an English teacher at the time, and one of the few good teachers that I had over the course of my schooling, and he was talking at the time about Hitler and sort of how World War II came into being, and he talked about sort of his ability as a public speaker, and how he was able to convince so many people and to rile up so many people. And he's like, he spoke to emotion.
Yeah.
He didn't win people over with logic. He didn't win people over with thought. He's won people over by speaking to their emotions, by speaking to their needs and speaking their emotions. And he kind of stopped at that point, and he's like, always fear the person that is speaking to your emotions. There is no reason to do that other than manipulation. And that was something that I hadn't thought about. That. It's something that I remember it like striking with me at the time, and I hadn't thought about it till more recently. And when you look at sort of the whole leftist agenda, the whole leftist propaganda, the whole leftist doctrination, that's what it is. It's not, we should do this because of this. It's never a battle of logic. It's never a battle of reason. It's always because look at this one kid. It's look at this person over here. It's always the emotional story. And it reminded me of that, as like, always beware of the manipulation that comes when someone appeals to your emotions.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
I wish we all had the opportunity to have teachers with that sort of wisdom.
Yeah, they're few and far between, but they're out there.
No, they're getting taught today that their feelings trump reality.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of that safe space. We're going to go back up and talk about the charity shoot, and we'll see if I can record something in the future to cut into this episode before we release it with Taylor and Rachel. They're not going to make it tonight. So Gavin and I have been spearheading, trying to organize a charity shoot for the Latimer family. We've talked about it the last, 3 episodes now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it's finally come to fruition. So November 5th, Guelph Rod and Gun Club in Guelph, Ontario. All money raised will be donated to the Latimer family. Sharon Latimer recently lost the battle with cancer, leaving behind several dependent children. So what we're trying to do with our $40 entry fee to the match is we're going to be putting on a 3-gun match at Guelph. There's going to be probably 5 stages, pistol, rifle, and shotgun, but not all at the same time. Everyone is welcome, whether you have a firearms license or not. Let us know if you need us to get you ammo. We'll make sure that you can shoot. And we'll have prize table there, and the prizes will be done by draw of the hat. There isn't any skill required in order to walk away with something cool. What am I overlooking, Gavin? I feel like that was short.
I guess
What's the cost? Did you say the cost?
Yeah, $40. That gets you in. We've got loaner guns and equipment, and like Andrew said, if you need ammo, we don't have a problem. I mean, we'll make you pay for it, but we don't have a problem bringing that for you. So let one of us know.
Is this a serious competition? Do I need to be a hardcore competitor to be able to come out?
Absolutely.
No, it's
you
fun
should
day.
you should want to be the absolute best shooter that you could ever possibly have been. No. Everyone is welcome, and it's strictly a fun match. We're looking at 5 stages. There's no holster requirement. There's no usage of slings or transitions, and there will likely be a little bit of movement with firearms and a little bit of like reloading and being on the clock, but there won't be anything. This will not be like going to IPSC Nationals.
Yeah, this is
What
meant
if
to
I
be.
only want to? What if I only want to do one of the stages? I don't feel comfortable shooting pistol, or I only want to shoot pistol.
You give me $40 and you shoot the stage you want to shoot, but you'll still have to cough up money for the ammo.
It's going to a good cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have
Okay.
some great sponsors.
Yeah, so far our sponsors list is the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, Elwood Epps Sporting Goods, Canadian Tactical Cowboy Supplies, Fire Art Solutions Training, Spatha Tactical, CDN Gunworks, S&J Hardware, and Ragnarok Tactical.
Yeah, some great prizes from some great people coming out to support a really, really good cause, and a cause that your dollars are going to actually directly impact the lives of several people. It's not like one of those causes where you give money and who knows what happens with it. This money is going directly to the remaining members that are now in a sizable debt situation with the passing of their mother. So your money is going to a good cause that is you're gonna see the actual benefits, and hopefully the people that are impacted by this will be there the day of. I know at least a handful of them will be, but hopefully all of them will be.
Round counts for the day we're expecting to be under 50 handgun, under 50 rifle, and under 25 shotgun. The shotgun will be limited to number 7.5 or smaller size shot.
Is that target shot?
Yeah, your standard target load that you buy by the flat at Canadian Tire is perfect.
Yeah, and no steel core ammo.
Absolutely. We're shooting steel targets, so there will be no steel core ammo. We do have two divisions. There's the handicapped and the standard division, and that's based on the type of firearm that you bring. If you have a 22 caliber or other rimfire firearm, or a pistol caliber carbine instead of a centerfire rifle, you'll be put into the handicap class. So if you want to shoot your 9mm JR carbine, that's just fine.
Guys, can we call it the less privileged round? I mean, handicap's a little bit offensive.
Get out of my safe space.
Given that we're calling this the Fuck Cancer charity shoot, I'm pretty sure we don't care about being offensive.
Yeah, sorry, iTunes, I'm not beeping that out. This one's actually called the Fuck Cancer charity shoot. We'll have to tag it explicit. The
also,
event is linked. Sorry, go ahead.
If you wear a plate carrier for the entire match, you get an extra ticket for the raffle.
So the plate carrier does have to have plates in it, though. Yes,
it does have to have plates. If anyone wants to borrow one for the match, I've got one to spare.
Yeah, I think we can hook you up. We'll get you a plate carrier. The day is going to start at 8 a.m. Mandatory safety briefing is going to be at 8:30, and we're going to have the first rounds downrange at 9 o'clock. We're likely going to be having a barbecue around noon. If there's enough interest, we'll do afternoon squads.
But yeah, come on out, bring your friends, bring your family. Even if they don't shoot, come out, have a good time. Like we said, the barbecue will be going. It'll be a great chance to introduce people to shooting, especially competitive shooting, in a safe, friendly, not super competitive environment. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty relaxed day. We'll have lots of range staff there. We'll have lots of people make sure the safety stuff's being adhered to. I likely won't threaten very many people to do push-ups.
A few.
It depends on how your behavior is. I don't think there's much else for that. We'll see if we can cut something in with Rachel and Tyler. If I can get something recorded before I get the rest of this episode edited out. Let's go into rapid fire feedback. To us from iTunes. Well, actually, everything tonight comes to us from iTunes. If you haven't left a 5-star review on iTunes yet, if you could please download iTunes, leave us the review, and then uninstall that piece of crap software. We would appreciate it. By leaving a 5-star review, you get to dictate what Gavin might drink in the future. This first one's from Lord Lou. Great show with a different view than what you're used to. Gavin, for the 5-star, I would like you to try Shiloh beer, either waitress or sass on the side.
All right, I will see if I can find some.
By Me Too, we also are, wow. By Me Too, funny and informative. The entire panel has something different to offer, which is why I find this podcast so thought-provoking and entertaining. it does make me think factors that haven't been considered in the Canadian political scene. Gavin, I request wine.
So that's an easy
I
one.
remember the episode where it was either you or everybody drinking wine. I thought it was one of the best conversational episodes to date. Or maybe I just remembered that way because I was watching YouTube wine. For rapid fire feedback, if you want to get in touch with the show via email, the best way to do that is to send your email to feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com or through the website at canadianpatriotpodcast.com/feedback, and you can fill out the form there. Do you guys have anything else before we close out the show?
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Fundy Tactical that I popped in there the other day, and they have a great selection, and the staff was super friendly. They're brand new. One of our other occasional panelists, Craig, was posting about them nonstop on Facebook, so I decided to check them out. They have their grand opening on Saturday, and they've got 511 stuff on discount. So if you need to pick up any stuff before the charity shoot to wear so you can look tactical, go there and check it out.
Whereabouts are they located?
They are
town even?
Just north of the city. I can pull up an address here.
I don't like that you refer to it as the city, like everyone knows that you mean Toronto. That
is.
I feel
only
rustled
city.
and triggered.
Good.
Yeah.
They're involved.
So somewhere north of the center of Canada.
Yeah.
You'll find them on Highway 27 in Vaughan, Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where everything else is.
Yeah. They're in a little strip mall, but yeah, super friendly staff, great selection and stuff, and a lot of stuff in stock. Decent pricing.
So stop by on your way to Bass Pro.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think you mean Cabela's.
Yeah.
It's all one and the same now.
That's the joke I'm making. Yes, they're the same company. All right. Richard, where's the best place for people to stay in touch with you if they'd like to?
Facebook, I guess.
Oh, Richard has a Facebook too?
Yeah, I know. That's pretty well where I hang out most of the time.
Time for you to get with the times, Marty.
I thought maybe it was a chance. But.
No, I was on Twitter for a while, but forget it.
Facebook it is. All right, Gavin, where's the best place for people to stay in touch with you?
The best place is on Instagram. You can find me at urbex_GTA, or if you know any of these guys on the Facebook, I mean, other than Marty, because he's not on it, you can find me through there. I'm not hard to find.
All right. Marty, do you believe in Facebook yet?
I think the better question is, why do you guys waste your time with it?
I have to troll the liberals somewhere, and I refuse to do it in person.
Yeah. It's safer on the internet.
Oh, we should have that.
I have
something. The internet is my safe space.
Yeah, I have none of the social medias, so just leave me alone.
Or if you know how to make smoke signals, you can contact Marty through smoke signals.
Or the ham radios.
Yeah.
What's your call sign on the ham radio for anybody that wants to get in touch with you, Marty?
Victor Alpha 3 Mike Victor Hotel.
Well, there you go, guys. You heard it here first.
7-3 is off.
Contact Marty on the ham radio.
As always, my name is Andrew. You can find all my work on everydaytactical.com or on Instagram and Twitter at edtactical. I'd like to apologize to Rod Giltack again this week for having to bump him. We're sorry he couldn't make it onto the show. Week, I'd like to remind our listeners that you are the true north, strong and free.